thing and start being culpable for what you have done. That is accountability.
This about all these other problems that we have that we can't see.
Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most quietly explosive moments in the entire Sister Wives saga, the couch interview, that shattered the illusion of unity. One question at a time. Christine sat poised.com on the outside, but what she asked next? It sliced through the carefully crafted image like a blade. She turned to Robin, cool, composed, and asked, "Why did you never need my help with your kids? Isn't that what sister wives do?" The room froze. You could feel the air evaporate. That wasn't just a question, it was a reckoning. Robin, visibly shaken, blinked, stumbled, and fired back. "Really? Are we having this discussion now?" But behind that reaction wasn't clarity. It wasn't defense, it was deflection. And Kody, he didn't even flinch, didn't look left or right. He sat there like nothing had happened, like his silence would make the explosion go away. But the truth is that couch moment was never just about Christine and Robin. It was about years of suppression. A system designed to protect one woman, Robin, and erase the voices of all the others. Because in this twisted family dynamic, questioning Robin is like questioning God. She's untouchable, unquestionable. Inviolate, you say one word against her, and suddenly you're the villain. Janelle, Christina, Vin, Mary, they were all made to tiptoe around her. Speak truth, and you're punished. Raise concerns, you're silenced. Need fairness? Why? 'Cause Robin was never just a wife. Okay? She was the chosen one. Behind the scenes, Kody wasn't just protecting her, he was weaponizing her. We've heard it for years. The wives are supposed to raise each other's children, support one another, work as a team. But Robin shut everyone out. She rejected help. She guarded her kids like they were royalty, too delicate for the messy reality the other children were born into. And then she flipped the narrative, claimed the other wives excluded her children. How do you invite yourself to a table you keep locked? She told them it was for their safety. That the other kids were too unruly? Was it protection or control? Here's where it gets downright disturbing. There's a story hidden in whispers about Gwen, Steen's daughter. Robin didn't want her left alone with her son. Not because Gwen had done anything wrong, but because there were display knives nearby. Gwen was an adult, but Robin saw her as a threat. These weren't isolated moments. They were patterns. Patterns of fear, control, and thinly veiled accusations. In one chilling interview, Christine referenced an old personality test that labeled Robin as drama-craving. Robin's response? Tears. But not the kind that flow from pain. These were crafted tears. Performative, strategic. She whispered, "I'm not being dramatic," while wiping away tears that told a very different story. And Christine. She paid the price for speaking up. Kody didn't come to her defense. He didn't try to mediate. He likely scolded her, revoked her access, punished her for breaking the script. For daring to tell the truth. That wasn't a conversation on that couch. It was a fissure, a fracture in the fantasy. The moment the curtains started to fall, Robin wanted the picture perfect. Sister wife setup, but only if she held the camera. She wanted unity, but without shared burdens. She wanted loyalty, but without accountability. And Kody. He handed her the keys. You've probably heard the phrase, Robin speaks Kody. But let's break that open. She doesn't just speak. For him, she edits him. She translates his rage into reason, his confusion into clarity, and his decisions into us choices. Christine once said, "We've been married a long time. I speak Kody just fine." That wasn't just a clapback. That was the truth. But with Robin, it's a script. She rewrites Kody's words in real time, says, "This is what you meant, right?" And Kody, like a puppet with his strings pulled, nods. "Yeah, that's what I meant." He doesn't think anymore. He agrees. The Kody the wives married. It's gone. Replaced by a shell of a man who's nervous, twitchy, waiting to be told how to think. And if you need proof, just watch the moment Robin shushed him. Subtle, quick, but chilling. She didn't say calm down. She said be quiet until you can say what I want to hear. And Kody, he obeyed. But then came Mary, the last one you'd expect to intervene. She looked at Kody and said, I heard what you were trying to say. She validated him, not Robin's translation of him. And in that flash, the curtain dropped. Robin wasn't translating. She was controlling. Then the financial secrets leaked. Kody didn't want the world to know he wasn't leaving anything in his will for the other children. But it wasn't his fear. It was Robin's. She didn't want the illusion shattered. She needed the public to believe in the fantasy where all kids were loved equally. But they weren't. They aren't. Robin demanded full power, but none of the responsibility. And Kody, he let her take the wheel. He likes the peace, the silence, the feeling that someone always has his back, even if that person is manipulating every move behind the scenes. And the kids, they know. They've said it clearly. We don't need you to speak, Kody. We have a dad. Christine spelled it out. Kody's an adult. He can speak for himself, but can he, really? Or has Robin been holding the mic this whole time? For over a decade, Robin's job wasn't just to be a wife. She was the handler, the fixer, the puppeteer, crisis manager, translator, gatekeeper, and Kody. He liked it that way. Gets the credit without the burden. It's the role without the responsibility. I didn't decide that, he says. Robin handled it, but don't be fooled. She's not just helping. She's running the show. And maybe, just maybe, she never really loved Kody for who he was. She saw potential, a man she could mold, a man she could isolate, a man who would mistake control for love. Her kids were trained from day one to bond with him. Not naturally, but strategically. And it worked, because the deeper Robin's grip grew, the farther Kody drifted from the rest. This wasn't about love. This was about power and that couch interview. That wasn't a reunion. It was the start of a revolution. Because once Christine asked that question, nothing was ever the same. This is a story about loss, not just of a marriage, not just of a family, but of a man who once cried over a dying dog, and now shows no emotion as the life he built crumbles around him. That Kody, the one with tears for his family's Labrador, who fought for unity, who once tried to be everything to everyone, he's gone. It's buried somewhere beneath the wreckage of 4 marriages and one woman's unchecked ambition. He doesn't live in plural marriage anymore. He resides in monogamy with Robin, mentally, physically, entirely. Mary's out. Christine and Janelle, they didn't leave the marriage. They escaped it. They separated their estates, their homes, their lives, because they knew the truth. This wasn't a plural family anymore. This was the Robin show. Everyone else had been quietly written out of the script. You won't get Kody back? Not because he found a soulmate, but because he no longer exists. Robin didn't just win his heart. She rewrote his identity. This wasn't a love story, it was a possession. In the early years, we saw Kody struggle with Mary, but that wasn't submission. That was exhaustion. 2 decades of trying to meet someone halfway while dragging the emotional weight of a strained relationship. Then Robin came along. She didn't ask him to meet her halfway. She said, I need saving. And Kody, he leaped because being needed. That's an ego drug. The other wives came to Kody with real human needs. But Robin came with flattery, with admiration, with the guise of devotion. And it worked. Here's the kicker, the moment that should have stopped everything. Robin wasn't even married into the family yet. But she was already attending Kody and Mary's marriage therapy sessions, not as a support figure, not as a friend, but as a participant. Mary revealed it herself in their book. Robin sat in their couple's therapy, even had individual sessions with Mary. That wasn't love. That was infiltration. That wasn't sisterhood. That was espionage. And slowly, piece by piece, Robin gained leverage. She learned their vulnerabilities. She studied their dynamics. She gained power. Power that Kody handed over with a smile. And in return, he lost his voice. He lost his independence. He lost his connection with every other wife and child. Because with Robin, he didn't have to apologize. He didn't have to sit through hard conversations. He didn't even have to explain himself. She made it all easier. She told him what to think, what to say, how to justify himself. He listened. They say they found peace, but that peace, it's built on the ashes of 3 burned bridges. It's built on denial, on curated narratives, on emotional censorship. So is Kody in love, or is he addicted? Addicted to ease, addicted to control, addicted to a fantasy where he's the hero, and Robin claps from the sidelines, validating every bad decision. That's not a marriage. That's an illusion. Here comes the truth no one dares say out loud. This family didn't fall apart from outside pressure. It collapsed from within. Not because of culture, not because of society, but because one woman's ambition was bigger than her empathy. Let's rewind. Christine was pregnant when Robin entered the scene. That wasn't just a sensitive time, it was a sacred one. A time when any decent woman would have stepped back and said, "Let me give space. She needs Kody right now." But Robin, she demanded more time. She wanted dates, cake tastings, weekends away. And Kody, he delivered. He left his pregnant wife to go dress shopping with his fiancé. While Christine nursed her swollen feet and her swollen heart, Kody was playing groom-to-be. And then came the ultimate betrayal. The day Christine gave birth, Kody wasn't there. He was with Robin. That's the moment the mask slipped. That's when it became painfully clear. Robin wanted Kody, and she didn't care who she hurt to have him. She didn't apologize. She didn't express remorse. She carried on planning the wedding while another wife labored alone, and Kody, he didn't even flinch. Robin often boasts about their long courtship. But in the world of polygamy, 10 months isn't long, especially when it comes at the cost of another wife's childbirth. And here's another truth bomb. For those 10 months, Robin left her own children with her mother. If her goal was integration into a plural family, shouldn't she have brought her kids along? Shouldn't she have been blending lives, building trust, learning to co-parent? But no, she kept her children separate and refused to let the other moms even watch them. Let that sink in. She didn't trust them with her kids, but expected their loyalty, their help, and their acceptance. So what's the takeaway? This wasn't the story of one marriage cracking. It was the systematic dismantling of a family. A family that believed in unity, that claimed to value sisterhood. But slowly, one voice began to speak louder than the rest. Robin didn't talk to Kody. She rewired him. She didn't love him for who he was. She molded him into someone else. And Kody, he surrendered because it was easier than leading. Here's the hardest truth. Love without boundaries isn't love. It's codependence. Peace without honesty isn't peace. It's avoidance. It was never a good fit. And deep down, we all knew it. From the moment Robin entered the picture, something never felt right. Because while the others were living plural marriage, Robin was building her kingdom and the throne. They called it a family. They called it a calling, a principle, a faith-driven path to heaven. But what the world witnessed over 2 decades wasn't salvation. It was survival under the illusion of unity, a masquerade of love stretched thin, over deep fractures that widened, split, and finally shattered when the truth refused to stay buried. This wasn't just about Robin. It wasn't even just about Kody. This was about every silent night Mary cried herself to sleep, in a house full of invisible walls. It was about the countless times Janelle forced herself to believe her independence was enough, that her loyalty would one day be rewarded. It was about Christine who waited, prayed, begged for crumbs of affection, for a husband who only ever had eyes for one wife. And now, Now the curtain has been ripped open. The world sees it all. What began as a cultural curiosity, sister wives, the smiling polygamist family on TLC, has become a televised autopsy. Every episode, another incision, another revelation, not of sin, but of suffering, of control, of manipulation disguised as faith, of women told to choose love when love never chose them back, and in the middle of it all was Robin Brown, the woman who came last and took first, the woman who spoke of fairness but built an empire of favoritism, who claimed tears as currency, played victim while orchestrating quiet victories behind the scenes. The camera never caught her hand moving. The chessboard, but now we know. The footage leaked. The audio slipped. The facade cracked. She was never the outsider. She was the architect of the collapse. But let's be clear, Robin didn't act alone. Kody was not just complicit, he was eager. Eager to believe the version of reality where Robin was the only wife who respected him, who loved him, who obeyed. He needed to be adored, and she knew it. He needed to feel like a king. And in crowning him, Robin built her throne. The rest of the wives, reduced to courtiers in a palace they helped build. And the children, God, the children. They were promised a village. They got a hierarchy. Kids like Garrison, Gabe, Leon, Logan. They grew up with cameras and commandments. Obey, don't question. Stay in the family structure. Smile for the show. But as they aged, their eyes opened. They saw the patterns, the punishments, the favoritism, the emotional estrangement. Garrison May, he rest in peace, voiced it with pain, not bitterness. Gabe fought for recognition. Leon withdrew into silence. Aurora and Brina Robin's daughters became pawns in a system meant to protect their mother's image while exposing everyone else's flaws. How many children were told to honor their father when their father didn't honor them? How many birthdays were missed? How many tears went unwitnessed? This isn't just a story of a family imploding. This is a warning. Because what we saw with the Browns is what happens when patriarchy hides behind scripture. When loyalty is demanded but never returned. When emotional abuse is repackaged as headship. Christine escaped first. Her departure wasn't just an act of rebellion, it was resurrection. She found joy. She found real love. She looked in the mirror and didn't see a broken wife. She saw a whole woman. That terrified Kody. Because once one wife walked away, the others realized they could, too. Janelle followed on her own terms. Quiet, thoughtful, defiant in her dignity. She didn't need fanfare. She just needed freedom. And when she lost her son, she didn't go to Kody. She went to the ones who showed up for her, not the man who used fatherhood as a brand and then abandoned it behind closed doors. Mary was last, always last. The most loyal, the most wounded, the most gaslit. She clung to the hope that Kody would remember the woman who started it all, but he didn't. And when he finally spoke his truth, that he hadn't loved her in years. Air left the room. She smiled on camera, but that smile wasn't real. It was resignation. She knew she'd wasted her devotion on a man who used her for narrative symmetry. And still she rose. Today, Mary, Janelle, and Christine stand not as ex-wives, but as survivors of a system that never loved them back. And Kody is left with the woman he fought for. It's the woman he claimed was his soulmate. It's the woman who helped him burn bridges with his children, his wives, and the public. Now they sit alone in an empty house, surrounded by echoes. The calls from TLC have slowed. The public has turned. Even their children, once silent, have started to speak. Aurora's voice shook when she broke her silence, but it was strong. She talked of the pressure to be perfect, of watching her siblings suffer, of the weight of carrying Robin's legacy on her back. Brianna, too, opened up, hesitant but honest. The cracks are now impossible to patch. The Brown family didn't fall apart. It was pulled apart, piece by piece, over years of inequality, favoritism, and emotional warfare. Polygamy wasn't the villain. The people were. The choices. The excuses. The manipulation. And now, a new generation watches from the sidelines. They're not just learning from the Browns, they're learning what not to become. And maybe, just maybe, that's the redemption in this story. Not in Kody's apology tour. Not in Robin's YouTube channel of empty explanations, but in the women who chose themselves. In the children who finally said enough. In the fans who saw past the editing and heard the pain beneath the smiles. This isn't the end of Sister Wives, it's the beginning of truth. And for the first time in over a decade, the real story is finally being told. No filters. No couch confessions. Just raw, real, irreversible truth. Truth. We have to stop pretending this was a slow evolution. It wasn't. This was not a gentle drifting apart of a plural family built on mutual sacrifice and belief. It was a calculated unraveling orchestrated by one woman's hunger for control and one man's weakness dressed up as devotion. Part 1 was about the illusion of balance. Part 2 is about the crumbling of trust, brick by agonizing brick. It's the moment everything shifted. It wasn't loud at first. It was silent. What made it so devastating? Christine once said the most painful betrayal isn't the one where someone screams at you, but the one where they quietly stop seeing you. That's what Kody did, and he didn't do it overnight. It happened over months, years, 1,000. Small betrayals